Hello and welcome to day 5 of the San Diego Latino Film Festival. We're almost halfway through the festival. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much if you've joined us throughout the first 4 days. We started out with an awesome drive-in on Thursday, and we've been continuing doing our virtual screenings and virtual Q&A since then. Today we're going to be able to have a chance to hear a little bit from the Frontera Filmmakers narrative shorts program. Again, like I said, they had their live stream on, they had their screen on Thursday at the drive-in, but today they will be talking a little bit more about their films at a Q&A at 5:45 p.m. Right now, we're gonna hear a little bit from them, and it's more of a get to know them session. But yeah, let me bring them in. We have. All right, thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
What's up, Juan?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Hello.
Thank you so much. I'm assuming everyone's in the area, but I'll ask what part you're calling from or you're connecting from. We'll start with you, Rafael.
I'm here from my office in Bankers Hill.
Bankers Hill, okay.
I'm in Chula Vista, California.
Chula Vista. How are you, Mario?
Hey, I'm from Tijuana.
Awesome, thank you.
Yo estoy ahorita en Tijuana. I'm right now in Tijuana.
In Tijuana, okay.
Hey, I'm Zarin. I'm coming from Linda Vista. Yeah.
Linda Vista. Okay. So we're hitting all kinds of area codes right now, zip codes right now. So to start off, why don't you all give us a quick logline of your film and the name of your film, just so the audience who's watching can know a little bit about it if they have a chance to watch it at the drive-in, or if they want to watch it later today. We can start with Rafael.
Okay. Yeah, my film is The Light Particle, and my film deals with issues of obsession. It's about a man who falls in love with this entity of light, and it's just all a metaphorical representation of being in a toxic relationship and all the obsession and fallout that comes with being in that kind of when you kind of let yourself, you fall so much into being absorbed into a toxic relationship that you forget everything around you, and you kind of disconnect, and that's really what the film is about.
Awesome, thank you. How are you, Luis?
Hey, I think I've talked enough about my movie on the various Q&As, but El Ladrón de Bicicletas is actually based on a true story. When I lived in New York in the 80s in Queens, there was a guy that used to go to Flushing Meadow Park in New York, and he used to pretend he was slow, and he would run around after kids and ask them to let them borrow his bike. And the minute that they felt sorry for him and they're like, okay, you can ride my bike, he would shift back into normal and just dip. And that's how he made money for drugs. And that's how I got my bicycles when I used to be a kid. So a few years ago, I decided that that was a cool character to build a day in the life story around. So it's about addiction, it's about poetry, it's about art, and I just kind of built a character that was stubborn to a fault. And even though he's on a long way down, he hasn't hit rock bottom quite yet. So we're just sort of taking a look at where he is in his life, and it was inspired by, honestly, by The Thin Red Line by Terrence Malick in terms of the visual of using poetry with images and stuff like that. So it's kind of like my art film, and it's my first film with all the dialogue primarily in Spanish, and that's what it's about.
Thank you. How are you, Mario?
Hey, hola, hola. Lo voy a decir en español. ¿Está bien? ¿No hay problema?
Sí, está bien.
Ok, perfecto. Mira, mi cortometraje es titulado Ansiedad en tiempos de COVID. Y pues está basado en todo esto que estamos pasando mundialmente sobre la pandemia. Trata más que nada sobre la salud mental que afectó a muchas personas y que la ansiedad se elevó muchísimo. Y trata sobre eso, sobre la ansiedad de Javier, de qué va a pasar a futuro, qué va a hacer para pagar su renta, para pagar sus biles. Y es todo eso que envuelve la pandemia sobre la salud mental.
Ok, muchas gracias.
Muy bien,
How are you?
ya que Mario hizo la tradición de hablar en español también, lo voy a hacer yo también. Pues, perdón, trata sobre una persona que tiene que hacer un pacto con el diablo para recuperar a la persona que ama. Y prácticamente ya les conté el corto, ¿no? Porque es un cine minuto, dura 1 minuto y medio. Y creo que hay como mucho más trasfondo de lo que pensé, de lo que está ejecutado, ¿no? Como en lo que se ve, sino hay como más backstory sobre cómo... De hecho, hasta la sinopsis que creo que subieron en el San Diego Latino que les pasé es como un cuento corto sobre lo que estaban viendo, ¿no? Como una persona que hace pacto con el diablo, que saca a alguien del cielo, con Dios, y si esta persona no lo perdona, pierde el alma también, ¿no? Entonces, como una cosa así es lo que plantea el cine minuto.
Muchas gracias. Javier Stern.
Oh, the Anti-Fascist Duology is it's a social realist film. It was only supposed to be one film, but I had come up with a second one. They ended up becoming two sisters, and yeah. So the first one is basically about reconciliation between a couple dealing with financial issues during the rise of Trumpism, and how they deal with that. And then the second one is about the violence that arises in not only youth but just Trump supporters that also deal with mental illness, and the sort of intersection of that. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I guess to start off, the first question I'd like to ask is for you, what were some ways that you were able to stay creative throughout this pandemic? What has been some maybe outlets for you? Have you taken any new hobbies, or maybe you just kind of hold yourself up writing? Les pregunto que si cuáles han sido que han hecho para mantenerse creativos durante la pandemia. ¿Tienen nuevos hobbies o están escribiendo todo el día? O más que nada, yo creo cuando nos encerramos en el principio, y ya creo que ahorita ya están las cosas un poquito más normal, pero but yeah, let's talk about the beginning. We'll start with Sarah and we'll go backwards.
Well, I'm kind of weird because I started making films during the pandemic. So I was actually a painter before the pandemic, and I was making a little money just tutoring, and then I got some compensation from my school, some compensation from the government, and I was able to afford a camera. And I had seen Bicycle Thieves, and I was like, I didn't understand before that you can make a film about something so close to your life, especially coming from a lower class background. And so I just straight up, like, I have family members who are Trump supporters, and I was like, how do I reconcile with this? How do I write a story about it? And I was like, I've definitely changed, but at the time I was like, how do I create a significant conflict that creates drama? And so I was like straight up like, all right, they can't afford to pay for their dog, because at the time I just recently got in a dog, and so from there I've just been trying to make as many short films as I can, just using my resources, because I really love filmmaking, and I really want to get better at it. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, ¿qué tal tú, Arturo?
Ok, pues durante la pandemia realmente no quedé encerrado, todavía hubo trabajo, estuve trabajando, o sea, grabando en producciones, o sea, hubo producciones acá en Tijuana que siguieron llevándose a cabo, independientes, siguiendo más o menos los protocolos, pero pues si queremos seguir haciendo, tenemos que seguir haciendo, ¿no? Esa es como la mentalidad que tenemos, lamentablemente. Y pues también trabajo de marketing y eso, ¿no? O sea, también los negocios necesitaban contenido y pues tenemos que hacerles contenido, ¿no? O sea, servicio de video y todo eso. Y pues de manera creativa, pues también como trabajando y viendo como que todavía se puede seguir haciendo cosas durante pandemia, como también de colegas cineastas que también ya han participado aquí en el San Diego Latino, pues he visto que se pueden seguir realizando proyectos, ¿no? Entonces sí he estado como pensando en futuros proyectos, tanto corto y posiblemente largometraje, quién sabe si resulte o no, pero todo grabado como en este contexto de contingencia.
Muchas gracias. Ya tú, Mario.
Ok, sigo yo. Igual que Arturo, yo no dejé de trabajar en la pandemia. En mi anterior trabajo no paramos de trabajar, pero también lo combiné la ansiedad que tenía con escribir. Escribí 4 guiones más y pues me la pasé leyendo y trabajando, así que yo la pandemia la viví trabajando. Así que tampoco no tuve ningún descanso ni nada, solamente pues la vida estuvo normal, solamente no salía a lugares ni nada, sino del trabajo a la casa y de la casa al trabajo. Es todo. Y pues escribiendo y leyendo. Es todo.
Okay, muchas gracias. How about you, Luis?
Well, I work from home because I take care of my of my dad. So I also work from home part time. So at the beginning, nothing really changed for me, but I couldn't go play poker. I couldn't spend time with my friends. I couldn't see myself filming anywhere. So I decided to start creating content, and I started creating videos para cineastas, for filmmakers under my Edwood Film School label. And then I started picking back up on my podcast and my streams where I talk about different stuff, and that allowed me to keep sort of human connections with people. It allowed me to keep, having these conversations that I couldn't have. And it really kept me feeling creative. And then I decided to take a look at some of my projects that were stuck in post-production and re-edit them, take a look at them with fresh eyes. And that's actually, I had 3 or 4 projects. One of them was Ladrón, the bike thief. It had gotten rejected by everybody because I was rushing it the first time I finished it. So I went back, did a re-edit, switched it from black and white to color, redid the voiceovers with Jose Yenke, who helped me out with that, and turned it into something. So I think I tried to do my best to be creative and start getting and finish projects that I had started, and then also have a little bit of a creative outlet. But yeah, it's been a rough year, but at least I've been able to finish some projects and start creating some content to keep me a little bit, to at least feel creative during this time.
Awesome. Thank you. How are you defined? Oh, I think you're muted.
Disconnected for a split second. Can you hear me now? You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
So for us, so I run a production company here in San Diego, and at the beginning of the year, kind of a blur now. But all our projects, just little by little, everything got canceled. So I started shooting my film in 2017, and off and on I would kind of go back to it and back to it. So I took upon that around when we shut down. I just took that time to kind of revisit and figure out a way to complete the film, and to shoot during the pandemic and make sure everybody's safe. We just powered through it, and luckily nobody got sick. We shot for the 2 days that we needed to complete the film, and then the rest of the time I pretty much spent writing, just trying to reconnect with that and come up with some new ideas. But most of the year up until last month has been kind of a blur. It just kind of passed through.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, thank you. I have another question. As a reminder to the audience, anybody that's watching, if you have any questions, you're welcome to throw it in the chat at any point, and I will try to get an answer for you as soon as possible. But one of the things here at the film festival, apart from Media Arts in San Diego, one of our focuses is youth. We do a lot of film programs for kids and teenagers. So that's one of our biggest audiences. So as filmmakers of varying levels here, what would you say is a tip or an example of something that you wish someone would have told you as when you first started making films, that you would like to share? And then whoever wants to go first can raise their hand.
I can take that if you want.
Okay, I'll give it to Luis.
Yeah, sorry. Don't shoot anything before your fourth or fifth draft of your script. No matter what, if you think that it's good on the first, second, or third draft, it's not. Do a paper edit, write a fourth draft, write a fifth draft. You will take out the stuff that you don't realize is crap from that if you do it multiple times. And then the other thing is, at this level of independent filmmaking, when you're starting, you're going to make mistakes. Your role as a director or the filmmaker is to not waste a day. So no matter what happens on set, the most important job the filmmaker has is to solve problems. So your camera guy didn't show up. Everybody take your phones out. We're going to shoot it on the phones, and then we're just going to get really good sound and then sync it up. Your actress didn't show up. You're going to have to rewrite the part or reimagine. People's times is so valuable, especially if they're working for you for free or for little money at the beginning. So you just, take a minute. The day is not fucked. You're going to be able to get through it, make something out of it, figure it out, sit down, make decisions, and rewrite that script as many times as you possibly can before you actually shoot it.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody want to go next? No?
Bueno, pues yo agregaría como, pues empezando de jóvenes, o sea, yo también empecé como de joven a adentrarme como al mundo audiovisual, y pues al principio sí, pues haciendo y jugando, como quien dice, se aprende, ¿no? O sea, yo aprendí a usar una cámara, pues usándola, ¿no? O sea, como metiéndome y ver cómo funciona todo, ¿no? Los cuadros por segundo, el shutter speed, todo eso. Pues usándola aprendes, ¿no? O sea, ya por tu cuenta puedes ir investigando, ¿no? Yo soy más como de haciendo se aprende más que estudiándolo, ¿no? O sea, como meterte a una escuela propiamente. Entonces, otra cosa es, pues, todos los primeros proyectos que lo vean como prácticas, que no se estanquen como creyendo que van a sacar como una obra maestra como primer proyecto, o sea, hagan lo mejor que puedan con las personas que tengan, siempre trabajen con gente que está 100% dispuesta al proyecto, ¿no? O sea, con sus amigos que confían en ustedes y que quieren trabajar con ustedes. Y yo diría que también piensen todos sus proyectos con lo que tienen. Nunca graben algo como creyendo que van a obtener como actores, ni siquiera actores de la región, ¿no? O sea, no pueden contar con todos los actores de la región, ¿no? Entonces, algunos son inalcanzables. Entonces, piensen en que hagan los proyectos con las personas con las que cuentan, el equipo que tienen, el dinero que tienen. Y otro consejo extra que les daría es que no gasten sus primeras balas en un Kickstarter. Y ya, sería todo.
Y escriban a lo que tengan disponible. Write to what you have available to you. If you have somebody, a friend that works at a factory, write something for a factory. Write to the places that you know you have access to.
Mm-hmm.
And don't start your movie with an alarm clock. I did, but you shouldn't.
I would like to just add, aside from run. If you want to be a filmmaker, go find something. No, just kidding. It's a very hard and difficult journey, creative journey to be a filmmaker. It's not easy to make a film, even a short film. It takes a lot of passion and a lot of your time and sacrifice. I would say one thing I would have liked to have been told is that it's a long journey, and be patient and just kind of let the process work itself out, and don't get discouraged, because your first film, chances are it's not going to be the greatest film, and most likely would be really bad. But it's okay. Everybody goes through those growing pains, and the point is just keep going. You don't have to be a Hollywood director. You can be a filmmaker, and be a director just being a filmmaker. Not everybody is Steven Spielberg or Terrence Malick or Jimmy Jarmusch. You just got to keep going. I would just say just be patient and trust the process, obviously. Yeah.
Can I just add one last thing, Juan? Also,
Yeah.
I shared a meme yesterday with David from La Frontera, and I said this before. It's a filmmaking meme that says there's 10 billion people on the planet, and only some of them are, not all of them, almost none of them are walking around thinking, I want to make movies. There's a select few of us. So if you are one of the people that walks around with that thought in your head, I want to make movies, don't let anything stand in the way of you creating art. Whether you got to shoot it on a cell phone, you don't need a Sony XYZ RTM. Make the movie, start doing stuff, start shooting stuff, write something down. As soon as you got day one, shot one, you're a director. Call yourself a director. That's what you're doing. Right, and learn what a director does, learn what everybody else does on set, and then let people that are better at those things do those things. So if you're not the greatest editor, trust an editor. If you're not the best writer, trust a writer friend of yours to look over your script. And if there's people that are going to volunteer their time and they know more about lighting and stuff than you, learn from them. So a director and a filmmaker has to know their limitations, know all the jobs, but know what your function is on set, and let people that are more talented than you do their thing.
Thank you. Mario, or is there anything you would like to add?
No,
Oh, no.
he's done.
No,
We lost Mario.
No, Mario, no.
All right. I mean, I have so many. I'm grateful to my fellow filmmakers, because a lot of the things they said I want to elevate, like Raphael talking about oh shoot, I mixed them up. But like, just like the idea about accepting that things aren't going to be perfect, embrace those. And then also to Luis's part about no expectations. I find that a lot of times I want to create expectations for what I want to make, but I have to move beyond that and just go to no expectations, but find joy in creating itself and being able to work on things. And especially at a low budget level, like very low budget, I can work on things and take things back and make things, polish them. That's one thing that I've had to learn is don't judge the story for how long it needs to be. If it needs to be 1 minute, don't judge it for being more than that. Like, I made something that was like 50 minutes this year, and it was trash. I threw it away because I wasn't making it for the story. I was making it to say I made something that long. And then another thing is like it. I feel like kids in the States are fed to think that a movie is something shot on an ARRI. If you look at all the best pictures, it's all this stuff that looks nice, it's mixed nice. Sound is very important, but don't let that get you discouraged. Make with what you have. Like they say, the best camera is the one you already have. So just all that, yeah.
Just the same way they say you don't want to be the guy that owns. You don't want to be the guy that owns the yacht. You want to be friends with the guy that owns the yacht. You don't want to own the ARRI or the Red Dragon. You want to be friends with the guy that owns the ARRI or the Red Dragon. Don't spend all that money on that.
Yeah.
What about you, Mario? ¿Tienes alguna cosa que agregar? De consejos o tips.
Pues mira, yo recomiendo que hagan con lo que tengan a la mano. Yo el cortometraje de ansiedad lo hice con el celular, lo hicimos con el celular y basándonos en lo que teníamos de inmuebles alrededor. Así que si van a escribir, basen a lo que tengan alrededor, no pongan algo extravagante que vayan a gastar mucho dinero. Y solo eso, que comiencen, que en el ruedo ahí hay problemas y todo, así que echando a perder se aprende, como dicen. Y es aventarse, el chiste es aventarse y quitarse el miedo de hacer algo. Es todo.
Bueno, muy bien, muchas gracias. Para ustedes, I think I had this question yesterday at one of the other live streams, and everybody had a very different and interesting answer. Is when do you feel, or do you know that your film is complete and ready to be seen by other people besides yourself? Like when do you feel that it's ready? Is it something inside you that tells you that, or is it when you shop it to you after your peers that you trust workshop it, or is it when you show it to like a bunch of different audiences before a mass? So yeah, what would you say? Well, when do you feel that it's ready? Whoever wants to go first.
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
I started as an editor in this business, editing music videos. So it was very different style of editing. But whenever I work on my film, I have a habit of cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting until it's not a movie anymore. But what I learned on this project was it got to the point where the rhythm and the timing and voice of the film was just it's kind of like a connection, you just know that the timing is right. The movie speaks to you without obviously speaking, but you just know it's done. For me, it's just it's like a visceral connection. Basically, you're not really. I can't even describe it. It's just it's something that the film tells me I'm done. The rhythm is there, the pacing. I can't really cut anymore without damaging the story. And it just feels right. And I've learned that through the years. You gotta listen to your film, be above anything else, and figure out where it's going. And because sometimes, like someone said earlier, you have an expectation of where you want the film to go, but doesn't always work out the way when you get to the cutting room. The story kind of sometimes takes you in a different direction, and you got to be open, to that. You got to, let it speak to you. And I would just say when I know, it's just the movie speaks to me basically and tells me I'm done, and then I step away finally.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
You guys want to go? Well, I don't like a painting. Like I don't know if it's ever in my mind done, as much as you stop. So, and I think that, for example, with the Bicycle Thief, I spent 6 months going back and forth between color and black and white because I loved the original idea was in black and white, but I couldn't get the crispness of the black and white that I wanted across the entire movie, and I fell in love with some of the color shots in it that I literally did a film grade with half color, half black and white, and I sent it to people, and I was like, "Tell me what you think." And then I went and I did a re-edit, and I would change. I would cut a scene 3 seconds that was in the middle of the middle end of the movie, but I would watch the entire movie again to see how that fit. And I've literally watched this movie at least 1,000 times over the last couple of years, just trimming it and getting it to where I wanted to. And finally, I made a cut that I liked, and I showed it to people, and they didn't have a lot of feedback. And then there was just one or two things. But even like last week when you guys were teching stuff, I was like, man, I wonder if Moises and Juan will let me send them a new edit because I wanted to place the captions like a little bit higher because it was at a drive-in, and I was scared that people were gonna. So So not so much I don't know myself. I don't ever get a feeling that like sometimes once in a while you're like it's there. It's I got it there, but once in a while you just have to stop and say it's the marginal cuts that I'm going to do are not going to help it any longer. Like Rafael said, you can't cut it into nothing. And then sometimes you find yourself going back to like an older cut and be like, I wonder why I changed this, and then you watch it and you realize it's because it doesn't work. So it's different for every editor, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Arturo,
a hybrid.
go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just want to say I'm a hybrid of sort of Rafael and Luis. I edit. And I sort of watch it through, and I sort of keep that mental circle in my head that goes, all right, this is where the cut should be. Is it there? If it's not, I go back and then I cut it, then I rewatch it. But then at a certain point, it's either concise enough or it makes me feel something. Like I hate to give like non-tangible answers, but like if it makes me feel something, if it makes me laugh, if it makes me feel emotional, and from there I'm like, especially if I'm in a place where I'm not hypercritical of it, but I'm like giving it tough love, where like I'm like I want it to be its best self, but I'm also like, oh, this is terrible. And then from there I can be in a good place to like to watch it, then say if this is cut right. That's a lot of jumble, but yeah.
Thank you. Arturo, Mario. Sí.
Bueno, en mi caso, yo realmente no he editado mis proyectos como del todo. Sí he estado como presente en el montaje, como que nomás sí como digo como, está bien el montaje, no está bien el montaje. Y pues estas son por cuestiones de que no tengo como una buena computadora como para realizar como la postproducción por mi cuenta. Entonces, casi siempre es como que le dejo a alguien más la chamba de editor, ¿no? O sea, como que consigo a alguien que sea el editor del proyecto, ¿no? O sea, como que respete nomás el guión, como esta es como lo que yo escribí y tengo en mi mente, y ya tú arma el rompecabezas y tú dime como editor, o sea, yo confío en ti en editor, que qué cosas quedan, qué cosas no van, mientras como que la idea principal se respete, ¿no? La idea de la historia, ¿no? Y en el caso de Perdón, fue algo como muy distinto, ¿no? Sí fue una narrativa que realmente no necesitaba como realmente postproducción más que el hacerlo blanco y negro, ¿no? Sino que ya desde idea de guión tenía pensado los cortes exactos de lo que quería ver, ¿no? Como que quiero ver 5 o 10 segundos de acciones y juntos crean una totalidad que es la historia que estoy planteando, ¿no? Entonces es como esta experimentación que hice diferente con esta historia, y en otros proyectos quiero como averiguar como cosas de que quiero encontrar mediante voy grabando, como que se arme la historia, ¿no? Como cosas así, ¿no? O sea, estoy como en experimentación todavía yo.
Muchas gracias. ¿Qué tú, Mario?
Ok, pues yo en COVID, yo lo escribí, yo lo dirigí y conseguí mi equipo, a mi editor, a mi diseñador gráfico, y ellos se encargaron de la postproducción, y originalmente iba a ser a color, pero el editor dijo, ¿qué te parece si lo hacemos en blanco y negro? Así para que transmita más. Y me gustó mucho la idea. Y así que nos dividimos el trabajo al realizar el cortometraje. Y así yo ya estaba más enfocado en la dirección y ya los demás se encargaron de la postproducción.
Okay. Muchas gracias. Well, we're nearing the 4:45, and they're all gonna be back in about an hour or so for their other Q&A, the actual Q&A. So I think we're gonna put it here. But before we leave, I want you all to say maybe a film that you watched recently. It doesn't have to be new. Something that you just watched, maybe that actually like made you feel something or that inspired you in some way. Yeah. So whoever wants to start, or that you recommend to the audience.
I'm just gonna cheat and say two, because they both kind of inspired me to go more experimental with things in the future, which is Japón by Carlos Regadas, and then The Master by Paul Thomas Anderson. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
That tracking shot in The Master when he's walking towards the ship the first time.
Yeah,
and he rack focuses back and forth from hand to the ship, back and forth. That's one of my favorite shots in cinema. So that's a good choice.
Ya, pues lo que yo acabo de ver, lo último que vi fue Malcolm and Mary. Que fue una experiencia buena, o sea, me tardé mucho en verla, se estrenó creo que hace como un mes o dos probablemente, y pues sí fue una muy buena experiencia, sí fue como un contenido que como que recientemente me está interesando mucho, como cine que habla de cine, y también como de relaciones interpersonales, ¿no? O sea, como, en este caso como de pareja, ¿no? Cómo se ve una pareja que trabaja en el medio, ¿no? Y qué caótico es, o cosas que tienen que luchar, ¿no? Entonces, pues a mí me gustó bastante esa película, ¿no? O sea, sí tiene una postura muy hollywoodense como de cómo se ve el cine, pero sí hay muchos aciertos como del quehacer cinematográfico, ¿no? Como del ojo del director o su stance con otras personas del medio.
Ok. No le he visto eso todavía. Hay que verla.
Sí, mírala, está interesante.
¿Quién más?
For me, it's a movie actually I frequently go back to, and that's actually it was a big inspiration for me to get to start shooting my film, which was Under the Skin by Jonathan Glazer. For me, I don't know what it is about that movie. It's just the way it was shot, the lack of a lot of dialogue, and the eeriness of it just really inspired me to shoot my film, and also continues to inspire me to write or to work on other stuff.
Awesome, thank you. How are you, Mario?
Can you hear us?
Mario.
Mario, can you hear us?
Oh, I don't think he hears. No. He's keeping us in suspense.
I guess you can go loose. I'll try to maybe go see it.
Just because you guys are cheating, the movie that anytime I need to be inspired by cinema, it's usually, like I said, The Thin Red Line or Basquiat, with Jeffrey Wright, greatest American living actor. And then recently, just because I saw them this week, La Bronca, which is a Peruvian movie that's part of the festival that I really, really liked, and what is it called? La Restauración. Two Peruvian movies that I saw que vi esta semana que son parte del festival, que it just made me feel like just being with you guys and the other filmmakers is the best part of the festival, because like I see how much talent it is, and then I realize that I'm part of it, so it's like a big ego lift. But also it makes me want to step my game up, because I see that there's so many filmmakers, Latinos, Latinas, all across Central South America that are doing incredible things. And it makes me just want to make my films. And then Arturo, what was the movie that you had last year? The Tijuana Mumblecore movie, Vicarus, I think. Vicario. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love stuff like that. I love everything, man. I watch like 5 movies a day.
Let's see if Mario sees the chat. Oh no, he did it. Okay, I guess we'll just end it. I'm gonna come back to a blank screen. I'll send a message. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and I'll see you all in about an hour.
Yeah.
And that one we'll get a little more in depth. Going more in depth on your films. Yeah, exactly. Go watch their movies. The Frontera Filmmakers Narrative Shorts program is still available today till midnight to rent. Okay. Once you buy the ticket, you have 24 hours to finish it. So if you don't have a chance to finish it tonight, you still maybe watch a short or two tonight, and you can watch the rest tomorrow. But yeah, it's full of amazing work done by filmmakers in the area. We have one last comment from Sebastian Gonzalez. Says, congratulations to all the filmmakers, and thank you for sharing great insights. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you for their insight, and we'll be back and hear more from them pretty soon. All right, thank you.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Later.